Luck Dog here. I live in northern USA in Minnesota on a farm where I give the cattle a runaround. When cows are hungry and they don't want to move back from their feeders, it's up to me. Sometimes it gets below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, so my place needs to be really warm. I'm not a tropical dog. I don't like how hot the people house is, so I need my own place outside where I can keep warm in the winter, cool in the summer, while I am hiding out from the biting flies. Where there are cows, there are biting flies. My grass shack is cool enough for me to take refuge in the summer and bask in the sunny window in our very long winters. If I'm not working, I am joining up with the cows. I like to hang out on the porch of my grass shack with my bud.
Original concept was a roof that Luck Dog could go up onto and connect with the rest of his pack through the window when they are indoors, since he, nor his brother, a few miles away coincidentally, seem to like going into people houses. He also needs a thick winter coat, which he would not get living indoors in a tropical temperature in which people keep their houses. A green roof helps him live on his terms, comfortably, by cooling and insulating. Once the blue grama grass is fully established, Luck will be able to be on the roof and see his people pack through the window. So the Luck Dog Grass Shack was created and built for less than $500 and should be a permanent housing. For summer, the screen insect barrier on door and windows makes all the difference. For winter, there are double-paned Lexan polycarbonate windows and 2 doors. There's also an interior wall that opens for ventilation in the summer and closes for warmth in the winter. The green roof of the grass shack has been keeping the living area about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than outside and quite warm and cozy inside in the winter. We started with a 4x8 plywood base insulated with R13 fiberglass bats. It is built upon white oak skids, so he is well off the ground, and we could initially move it with a Bobcat into place and move it later if we needed. Window and door frames are weather-resistant red oak and red elm. We have a few acres of forest, so we have a thick, strong home-sawed lumber around. Walls are 16 inches on center, red elm studs. Wall covering is plywood. No glues or OSB used due to outgassing. Also, R13 insulation is in the walls and ceilings as well as the floor and inner wall. Fiberglass insulation was chosen as it is least attractive to mice and mold in case of intrusion. Windows for cross breeze and ventilation are critical to dry the house out and make it comfortable in our extreme environment. Condensation and the snow Luck brings in on his coat is a big consideration for health and durability. During construction, the physics of where and if to put a vapor barrier in an unheated space was a head-scratcher. We ended up just using several coats of best quality vinyl paint inside as a vapor barrier between Luck and the insulation in the walls. Otherwise, we used house construction, and we figured the cabin could support about 1,000 pounds, so perfect for the green roof. Some of the natural materials, like the wool carpeting and the canvas dog cushions, mildewed last winter, so this winter synthetics will be used. Heavy-duty construction and careful design will hopefully serve future workers well on this 150-year-old farm. The first winter, the green roof was not in place, as you can see in the picture. Only a few pictures were taken during construction to document some of the process for remembering, so some steps are missing for this video, but you get the idea. We cobbled together metal roofing scraps to hold up the EPDM membrane for the green roof, and has a wooden frame otherwise. Green roof frame structure itself is only touching the main living cabin roof in one place, that's down the middle, and then both ends are held up by the corner boards. This was to minimize the contact with the EPDM membrane on the cabin roof, and then possible water infiltration if it pierced that. The green roof extends out a few feet from the cabin to form eaves to keep moisture away from the living area and form two porch eave overhangs. His south porch is heavily used in the winter for lying in the sun, and the east porch at the people entry as well on rainy days where he waits for us. This overhang is turning out to be critical to keep roof moisture and rain away from the living area. Green roof internal base has a slight pitch of maybe 5 degrees for slow drainage so plants could absorb maximum moisture before draining out of the 2 drains that close during dry weather. The growing medium is from 2 to 4 inches. And the lowest length of the roof has a liner rock encased in landscape fabric for quick drainage if needed for very hard rains. And we have had record hard rains lately, and not much medium was displaced at all. We added some gusher guards on people house gutter to avoid any washout. Regular condensation in the morning off of metal roof house provides regular dripping onto the shallow, dry upper corner, so it keeps it moist even though it's back in the corner of the people house entry. The metal roof screws we used under EPDM were heavily caulked over to protect the liner from damage, so there can still be traffic up there. In addition to the 2 layers of EPDM membrane on living quarter cabin roof, there's also 2 layers in the green roof for 4 total EPDM layers. Some of the membrane was from a roofing company's scraps, so we were unsure of its integrity, so added a few layers. The layer touching the plants is actual UV-resistant non-toxic pond liner in case some of the plants end up being edibles. We did not have enough depth to include any root barriers, etc. Metal EPDM roofing edge strips we bought at Menards work well to hold the membrane in place. This farm can get 40 mile per hour or 64 kilometer per hour winds, and the membrane has not displaced at all. The metal strip's upper edge was caulked to keep rain from going in between. 2 drains with ball valves kept open unless we have a dry spell or I'm watering seedlings on a regular basis. Hopefully the roof will not need watering once established. The growing medium is inoculated biochar, cow manure compost, and Fafard growing medium, the kind which is 50% composted bark and also made up of peat moss, perlite, vermiculite, dolomite, and wetting agent. A little bit of potting soil and cedar bark mulch top layer. Note the rocks in the picture underneath the holes in the gutter to catch the drips. We started out with chives and blue grama grass seedlings, sedum and sempervivum, or hens and chicks, but there was about an 80% crop failure the first winter. This likely factors were the temporary oat winter cover was planted way too thick, and it turns out to have allelopathic qualities. We had record cold temps on very young plants and just the trickiness of getting blue grama grass to persist. We're hoping that the deep-rooted blue grama grass is actually going to send the roots out horizontally and form a nice mat up there. But there were many volunteer plant seeds that blew in from the surrounding prairie restoration here on this farm, or perhaps came in with the cow compost. And the volunteers such as allsykes and Dutch clover and western wheatgrass and other agricultural wild plants did very well on the roof this summer. I'm also trying more experimental horticulture zone 2 plants. This is USDA zone 3 and 4 here. More like the sedums, aqualesia, violets, cerastium, creeping phlox, etc. I'll know next year how they did. And hopefully more plants are going to make it through this coming winter. So in fall, we ready the grass shack for winter by changing out the screens, dropping the carpet door down, screwing in the sleeping den ventilation vent, but still leaving a little bit of ventilation, shutting interior wall, and a seasonal replacing of this ceramic tile floor, which keeps them cool in the summer, to commercial carpet squares to add insulation. The house door is facing east and the sun window facing south. And the ventilation for his sleeping quarters actually faces our house, so you don't have a wind coming in. And his house is tucked into a southeast corner, so somewhat protected from our prevailing northwest winds in the winter. And don't worry, he's also got a heated garage he can go into that has a dog door, but he rarely chooses that option. There's also a cat shelf in there for his buddies inside the den part of the shack. And the shack is large enough that if Luck Dog wants to get a dog, there should be room. So far, the shack is heavily used by Luck Dog, a few cats, kids, enjoyed by pollinators, hummingbirds, and his best bud on the porch. So go out there and top this grass shack for your best friend. Thank you for your time.